Hello, and welcome to lesson 3 of the Hebrew course. We are in the middle of exercise 1. We've read the first 4 lines, and now we're going to read the last 4 lines. And the last 4 lines adds a few reading signs, which we will look at as we go along. So, line 5, the first word is Avraham. Avraham. Aleph, Bet, Resh, Hey, and Mem. And the vowels Patach, Shva, Kametz, Kametz. Now the Shva is not really a vowel. It, as I've said, it indicates a 0 vowel. In some contexts, you'll have to pronounce the Shva in order to, as an sound, in order to be able to pronounce the word. But here, it's not pronounced Avraham. It simply indicates that Bet does not have a vowel, and hence clashes with the Resh, following Resh, Avraham, which is the Hebrew for Abraham. Next word is Aharon. Note the Chatef vowel, the Chatef Patach vowel, originally extra short, but in modern day it's not shorter than other vowels. Aharon. Elohim. Alehem. Alehem. Note this is the 4th word of sentence of line 5. Note how the yud here is used in combination with the vowel tzere, the e vowel, alehem. Next word is betoch. This is an instance where you have to pronounce the shva. Betoch. Betoch. You can't say betoch. I mean, well, it's a lot easier, at least, to say betoch, yeah, with an e sound in between the 2 consonants. Note how the kaf there at the end has a shva in it, betoch. This is simply a writing convention. It has the shva there has no meaning and certainly shouldn't be pronounced. Any kaf at the end of a word, if it does not have its own vowel, it will always have a shva. Then we have gulgolet, which is Hebrew for Golgotha, skull. Gulgolet. Note the u vowel under the first gimel, gulgolet. Then there's a shva, and so on. Gulgolet, and then ha'adama, and habehema. Habehema is the last word of the 5th line of this exercise 1. Line 6 of exercise 1 starts with the word hayom. Now hayom has a dot. Now we've seen dots in some of the letters, and actually these dots have originally had 2 different functions. They're called, well, the dots are called dagesh. A dot in a letter. Most of the dots in the letters are called a dagesh, and as I said, these dots have 2 ways of well, they show 2 different things. One dagesh is called the dagesh lene, and simply is used to distinguish between the hard pronunciation of consonants and the soft pronunciation of them. So, for instance, with the bet, kaf, and pe, without the dot, they're pronounced v, ch, and f, right? Another couple of letters were pronounced hard or soft, depending on the presence or absence of this dagesh lene. That's gimel, dalet, and tav. But in modern Hebrew, you don't make this distinction. In other words, gimel, dalet, and hey are pronounced as g, d, and t. In other words, in the hard way, without any. And there's no difference. This pronunciation is kept even though they don't have the dagesh in them. Then there's another type of dagesh called dagesh forte, the strong dagesh, and that indicates a long consonant. At some point, people, Hebrew grammar, and actually until recently, all Hebrew grammars talked about dagesh forte as a doubling of consonants. However, there was never two of these consonants. It was always we always spoke about one long consonant. Just as you can have a long vowel, you can have a long consonant. And just like the long vowels, the long consonants are no longer in modern Hebrew pronounced in a long way. But it's very important for the grammar. At a later stage, you'll notice that long consonants give essential clues to understanding a word and a text. So that's why you have to be able to distinguish between the dagesh lene and the dagesh forte. In other words, is the dot you're seeing, is it a regular? Does it simply have to do with distinguishing between a hard and soft pronunciation, or does it have to do with lengthening the consonant? In which case, it may be an important clue for the understanding of the word. So, let's return to the first word of line 6 in exercise 1, hayom. Now, again, if I say hayom, you'll hear the lengthened yud, hayom. Actually, the word is just, in modern Israel, pronounced as like hayom. Hayom, with a regular short consonant, but still, the yud in principle is long. We also have a lengthening in the next word, huledet. Huledet. By the way, how can I tell the difference between these two types of dagesh, right? I mean, they look the same. Yes, they look absolutely the same. The thing is that the dagesh forte can only be used after a vowel. So, for instance, in hayom, the lengthened yud comes after the first a. Right, you have a ha, then you have the lengthened y, hayom. And in huledet, you have the hu and then a long l. Okay, huledet. And by the way, if a consonant is not the 6 consonants that distinguish between soft and hard, it has to be a lengthening, a dagesh forte. So it's only these 6 consonants that can have a dagesh lene. We call them the begat kefet consonants, B, G, D, K, P, and T. Begat kefet. Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Kaf, Pe, and Tav. That's simply a word to help you remember these 6 consonants. Next word, halayla. Halayla. Then halach. Hine. In hine, note how the hey there is a marker of final vowel. Hine. That's the final hey. The first hey of this word hine is just a regular h sound. Vayavdel is the next word, and here you might ask vayavdel. How about the dageshes in this word vayavdel, which is number 6 word in line 6. Now, the first dagesh is in the yud. The yud comes after a vowel a, va, vayavdel, and therefore it's a long yud. Okay, after a vowel, it has to be a long. It has to be a dagesh forte, indicating a long vowel. But the next dagesh is a dagesh lene, vayavdel, vayavdel. The shva in front of the dalet indicates no vowel, or at least no. As I said, the shva always indicates no phonemic vowel, no important meaning-carrying vowel, and a dagesh after a shva will never be a dagesh forte. you have to have a vowel in front of a dagesh in order to make it a dagesh forte. So Vayavdel has one dagesh forte in the yud and one dagesh lene in the dalet. Continuing, we have Vayehi, Vayikra, Venir Ata, Zikaron, Chava. Now in Chava, you have a vav with a dot, and almost always a vav with a dot is an u. But in this case, you can see this vowel with a dot actually has its own vowel. It has a kametz under it. And since Hebrew consonants can only have one vowel, they're not allowed to have two vowels, unless there's one exception to that rule, but we'll come back to that. Almost all consonants in Hebrew are followed by just one vowel. So when this vav with a dot has its own vowel, we assume that it's actually a lengthened vav, which it is. Chava, which incidentally is the name of Eve, Adam and Eve's Eve, and the vav there is just a lengthened vav with a vav with a dagesh forte, chava. Next word is pronounced chochma. Chochma. That's one of the rare cases where the kametz is actually, the first kametz is an o sound, so-called kametz chatuf. Chochma. Now they're kind of hard to recognize these kametz chatufs. Technically, they have to be in a closed syllable, that is a syllable that ends in a consonant and has no stress. Chochma. That's technical. That's kind of hard to recognize. So I suggest that you simply disregard that. Next word is chachama. Chachama. It looks completely like the chochma word, except that there's a small line called a meteg by the first kametz. That meteg is the function of that meteg, that little line, is to indicate that the kametz is indeed to be read as an a, even though it's in a place where an experienced reader would think that it might be an o. Continuing to the fifth word of line 7 in exercise 1, we have choshech, and then yelech, Yaakov, Yikavu, Yarden, Leolam, Malach. Next line, that's the last line in exercise 8, is Merachefet, Naaseh, Oni, Plishtim. And by the way, that word Plishtim, that's again we're in line 8, the fourth word, Plishtim, which incidentally means Philistines. Plishtim, note again we have two dageshes in that word, and the first dagesh is the dagesh lene, and so is the second one. The first dagesh is a dagesh lene because there's no vowel in front of it, because the start of the word is p. The second dagesh in the tav, plishtim, note again it comes after a shva, and after a shva the dagesh will be a dagesh lene. Okay, next word is pene, then pri, paro, shvi'i, and shmuel. Thank you, that's it for this lesson.